The following is paid programming. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of this radio station, its advertisers, or sponsors. Welcome to All About Love, a program for couples, would-be couples, or anyone with an interest in having amazingly successful relationships at home and at work. With your host, Wendy Pegan, relationship expert, mediator, and founder of the Creative Relationship Center, and sponsored by Lancaster Medical. If you would like to participate on today's program, call now, 803-1520. That's 803-1520.
Everyone, and welcome to All About Love. I'm your host, Wendy Pegan, and on Sunday mornings from 11 to 12, we discuss relationships from couples, families, divorce, and everything in between. I am founder of Creative Relationship Center, and our philosophy is to empower couples and families to become resilient and strong through counseling, coaching, classes, and mediation. Since everything we do involves relationships with others, Creative Relationship Center is here to help you create the best relationships you can have. We help couples to remain court-free and stress-free. Today we'll be talking about dating in today's society, and I'm really looking forward to this. Joining me today will be Tim Sobolewski, owner of the Financial Planning Center, Monica Duncan from New York Sports Center, and also joining me will be Courtney Kruger and Caitlin Hager. Good morning, everybody. And of course, my fabulous and fun producer, Jimmy. Thank you for joining me today. And callers, I am going to ask you to please call in today at 803-1520. We're going to be talking about what do you think of dating in today's society? I'd like you to call in with some of your experiences today. In doing some research for this, we came up with a number of different interesting topics, and some of that, as we were talking about earlier today, Monica, was how romance seems to have died. And in the relationship or the dating scene today, we think about dating, and does dating always turn to marriage, or does dating just turn to long-term relationships? How successful are some of these marriages today? We all know that 50% of marriages end up in divorce. So, but before you can walk down the aisle, you have to have this dating experience. And you were telling me, I thought something that was pretty fascinating as a previous English teacher in another life. You were telling me a story about love letters.
Yes, I actually asked my students, we read sonnets, we read love letters from World War I, and I asked my students to write a love letter. All of the girls would wish they had received a love letter as opposed to a text. But they really, that must be a love letter, a text.
I forgot to turn their phone down.
But they found it very difficult to write love letters, and they're not used to expressing themselves in words, in sentences, maybe just in, they also felt, the biggest complaint was they felt it was contrived. When they read these love letters, they felt that they were contrived. I had to explain to them there were no telephones at the time. Really, everything that somebody was feeling, they had to say because the other person wasn't privy to it over the phone or
no Skyping,
via email,
right,
or Skyping. And I think they were embarrassed to write down these words.
Because I find that interesting, actually, because even when I was growing up, it was very common to be passing notes back and forth in class. It would be, "Do you like me? Check yes or no."
Right, but is that a love letter?
But that's the level of. It depends on the age group, I would think. But for them, they think that it's over the moon.
Yeah.
This is their life.
And see, isn't that sad, Wendy, that "do you like me, yes or no" was the send some girl over the moon.
Well, and how think back to when we were all adolescents, and I don't think much of that has changed today. I think when you meet somebody and you really are somehow connected to them, or you really like them, that those same physical reactions happen for us. Regardless of whether it's the first date or the 21st date or the 50th date, that there's something that tells us, I'd like to get to know this person better. And I think that's changed with online dating versus when you meet somebody physically, face-to-face. Of course, that could be, we'll talk about online dating in a little while, But going back to your lost
Well,
love
can
letter.
we just ask Tim if he's ever written a love letter to somebody?
And what do you consider an actual love letter?
This isn't being recorded, is it?
Well, this is
No,
why I
it's
had the
live, so
students.
it's
This is
for
why I
eternity.
had
You know
the
what?
students read actual love letters and sonnets.
And I think we also
so-
need to define love letter.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Right.
Well, I
Because
think
younger
that-
kids think that love letters are totally different things.
Well, I think when you're talking about it sounding contrived before, I'm wondering whether they're reading poetry, something in, sonnet form.
Right.
You know,
We
or-
did both World War
Okay.
I letters
Yeah.
to spouses from the men, and sonnets.
Yeah, it may be the same reluctance that people have to buy some greeting cards where they sound awfully contrived, but they'd rather do that than try to put their own words into on paper. Have I done that? Oh, yeah, sure. But,
Right.
Romance is a different thing now than it was. I mean, what women want and expect are different things.
Very true.
You know,
Very
what
true.
women want and
What women
expect.
want
I don't know if
expect-
it's
That was a
more
previous
different
show
as they don't
for
want to
this.
demand it.
I know.
You know,
Yeah, they don't expect that kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, that's
just-
a shame.
I just
I
feel
I
like
agree.
dating.
I think that's totally a shame.
Yeah.
Because I get that all the time.
Right.
What do you mean?
Well, usually when I'm dating a guy or whatever, somehow I end up getting them to open car doors for me and go get me stuff, and all my girlfriends are like, "Why can't I get my boyfriend to do it?" It's like, because I kind of
You demand it.
expect it.
Yeah.
See, and
I
I
don't.
didn't like
I don't
it.
demand it, but it's one of those things where I express that I like it, so that they continue, and then they continue to do it.
And not all women like that nowadays because they like to be empowered and think I can open my own door, thank you very much, and they don't want to be patronized.
But that may affect the men you choose too.
That's
in other
true.
words, your expectations may self-select. The men you're looking at.
And it's just a matter of respect, whether you want it or not. If a young man is respectful, he will do that, and then, in my opinion, you have a winner. If you decide I want to be empowered and I don't want you to open the door, you can express that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but it comes down to respect, and I think you always want somebody who's going to respect you.
Absolutely.
Callers, call in at 803-1520 to tell us your dating experiences. We're talking about romance right now in dating, and romance is probably something that, well, I don't know, is the expectation on the online dating that there is no romance versus, Caitlin, you're talking about guys who open the door for you and maybe
Hard to
Send
do that
flowers.
online.
Yeah.
yeah, it would be hard to do that online.
Yeah,
So
a little
there is the difference between being able to do something physically, bring flowers on a date or any other type of romantic gesture, versus being online. Online, you've got the communication, you've got the word.
Well, I think that online dating is meant to be a first step towards actual dating in person. You're not just going to continue. Well, I mean, some women might, but I don't think that most women go into it saying, okay, I'm just going to be talking to this guy through the computer every day for the rest of my life.
Do you have a
We're gonna
debate
get
then
married
about?
on the
Do you have a
computer
debate
and live
about whose
happily ever
bitcoins
after.
pay for the virtual dinner then?
The
or
virtual,
is
that's
that,
what I mean. It's not actual dating. That's just the meet and greet sort of aspect
Right.
of it.
Right.
So then you do meet in person and then you make that natural next step. It's just like dating via MySpace, which was an earlier thing in my generation, where she met, I mean, in that girl, Megan Meyer, she didn't meet that guy, but he was confessing his everlasting love to her. And then it turned out to be a girl.
Oh, it's like the TV show Catfish.
And
Yeah.
and also there's whether a person or shows the proper picture of themselves.
Exactly.
and-
It's all about, genuine.
Well, there was a local case of a plant out in Clarence where the two guys had been corresponding with the same woman who had misrepresented themselves. Neither had ever met her, but one got so incensed that he murdered the other one, didn't he? Yeah.
Really?
So that's a danger of dating
Jealous
online.
of an online woman that he'd never met.
Well, there's
well, that
dangers.
happens in physical dating too.
Right.
A guy
Exactly.
finds out
Right.
that she's seeing somebody
Sure.
else.
But
Sure.
without having ever met, it's amazing to me that they could develop that level of passion and
Right.
jealousy.
That's where I was going with that.
with
Is the
someone who,
far
by the way,
as-
completely misrepresented herself online. Not that it mattered to them, but
You can find out much more about a person maybe when you're talking to them online as opposed to if you just go on a date and go to the movies.
they can make stuff
Or-
up either way.
Or you maybe you don't expose as much about yourself on a first date or a second date as you would if you're just kind of writing things about yourself. Well, I do this and I do that.
Well, let's talk about face-to-face dating right now. On face-to-face dating, what are some of the things that you listeners and all of you would be looking for on a date? most of the traditional, think about some of the traditional ways in which we used to meet years ago. I know we've shared this before, growing up in a neighborhood where most of my family lived. You pretty much kind of dated and married the people that you went to school with, or I think we laughed last time about going to college to quote unquote find a husband.
Getting your MRS.
And what happens after college? If you haven't met somebody, then you're kind of in a situation where you're going to be meeting somebody maybe on the job, place of employment.
Right.
Where they usually frown on that, by the way.
Pardon?
Where they usually frown on that, people at the same workplace
Well,
dating.
that could be sometimes for places of employment you both can't date, so you know that might take away some of that. Then you depend on your friends.
Right. Well, I think that when you and I were younger and we were dating, we knew somebody, we knew their family, our friends knew them. So there was a little bit more of a support system and not that fear
It was safer.
going
Absolutely.
into it. It was much safer. It's just like countries where they set up their marriages. It really does make sense. I mean, the families want to, you want to have maybe the same religious beliefs, if not the same religion, but the same beliefs, the same expectations from each other. And I think those are things that if you're meeting somebody within your neighborhood or your social stratus, that does make for maybe an easier couple because you know more about each other physically. And,
The thing is, though, some people go on and they continue dating and eventually marry someone and they still don't actually know them at all.
That's true.
So,
Well, that's
We talked
certainly
about that
happened
last
in
week.
polygamy
Yeah,
situations. Somebody
so-
has another family. Well, and then that brings us to the question of, are you asking the right questions?
right.
And whether it's online or it's face-to-face dating, isn't it important to be asking the right questions? I know when I'm dating, I give people surveys.
Okay,
Right off the bat. Give them the personality inventory to figure out whether or not there's going to be any compatibility there, because if there isn't, then maybe, there's nowhere to go. But how about asking the right questions? There's a wonderful book out there called Intellectual Foreplay. And it was written by a woman who, I wish I could remember the author, but all of those of you who get on the internet can find that. One of you are going to find it right now. Great. A woman who had written it happens to be a therapist, but she was in Hawaii and she was vacationing there, and she met her husband, or her future husband. And they wanted to continue to date, but of course neither one of them was ready to pull up roots and go live with the other one. So they had a virtual relationship for a while, both in letter writing and online. But what was important here is that they were really getting to know each other in a way that perhaps people don't do when they see each other physically on a day-to-day basis. And someone pulled up an interesting statistic earlier, and that was that offline, couples who get to know each other or get to the point where they're deciding to make a long-term commitment or a marriage takes them approximately 42 months. Online that dating is usually lasting 18 months before marriage, which is rather interesting. Why do you think that might be?
Well, I think it's like I said, you may divulge a lot more information in writing in one or two conversations with a person, as opposed to when you go out to dinner with them. Maybe you're a little more guarded and you're only exchanging a little bit of information.
Sure.
I think two other things come to mind. One is that maybe they did find someone who's more compatible than the people you might meet randomly in person through eHarmony or one of these things, because of the greater pool of available prospects.
And
But
you do write down what you want in a person, so
Right.
you've already narrowed down your expectations.
But then the other thing that comes to mind is maybe for some reason this virtual relationship allows them to indulge their fantasies about the other person more.
About themselves too,
And about
because there's a
themselves,
lot of
so-
lying that's going on.
Exactly. So I wonder how much of that 18-month to marriage romance depends on fantasies that maybe aren't attached to reality too well.
Well, and I wonder too if that isn't more about those chat rooms rather than people who are actually paying money monthly to get onto eHarmony or Match.com, that's a financial commitment. And when you make a financial commitment, I think there's more of a desire and a commitment to yourself to be a little bit more real, because you go through a compatibility test, and perhaps more, and a financial commitment to say, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody a little bit more long-term, or I am looking for a long-term relationship. And I think people are too afraid to say, I'm looking for a long-term relationship. They're fearful in terms of dating that somebody may think, hey, I'm out there, I'm single right now, I'm looking for someone to have a committed relationship with, not just be dating for the fun of it.
I remember a coworker of mine at a bank, and I will not mention her name online, but she'd always entertained us with her stories of romantic fiascos, one after another. And we just thought she was too picky, but who knows. And so anyway, so she eventually went on to eHarmony and filled out, I guess there's a huge survey you have to fill out, and she waited and got the message, we have no matches for you at this time.
Oh, that is a hit man.
So she was depressed, yes.
Callers, call in at 803-1520 with your questions and comments on online dating versus offline dating. We'd love to hear your experiences, or get onto our Facebook page at facebook.com/Creative Relationship Center, and we will be right back. Hi, this is Wendy Pegan, host of All About Love here on KB Radio and founder of Creative Relationship Center. If you've been thinking to yourself, he's changed, or she's not as loving as she used to be to me, or we don't have anything in common anymore, then consider making an appointment at Creative Relationship Center. At Creative Relationship Center, we have an association of professionals in the fields of counseling, legal, and financial planning. We offer couples counseling, coaching, mediation, workshops, and classes for adults at all levels of commitment, from pre-marriage through post-marriage. Creative Relationship Center can help your family stay together. Or if you've already decided to separate, we can help mediate your differences civilly without the major expense of attorneys or stress of going to court. Consider having the relationship you've always wanted. Consider Creative Relationship Center. To learn more about our couples college, couples retreats, divorce mediation, and many other services available, go to creativerelationshipcenter.com. That's creativerelationshipcenter.com.
Do you need help planning your retirement? Is your household budget something you just don't want to look at? Then maybe it's time to make an appointment with the Financial Planning Center to develop a personalized professional financial plan. The Financial Planning Center can help with financial goals and budgets of any size. If you're a middle-class investor, you will be especially happy because there are no account minimums and they take no commissions on investments. And if that's not enough, your first visit to the Financial Planning Center is absolutely free. Call 240-4304 today. That's 240-4304 for the Financial Planning Center. New York Sports and Fitness Center on the corner of Transit Road at Klein in East Amherst is not your average gym. In fact, their trainers have probably trained your trainer. New York Sports Center is operated by and under the direction of Buddy Morris, Fred Duncan, and Monica Duncan. Buddy Morris is a world-renowned former NFL and Division I strength coach who was voted one of the most influential strength coaches of all time. More than 100 of athletes trained by Buddy now compete on the national level, including 5 who've been inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Fred Duncan, a former Division I athlete educated in both physical therapy and chiropractic medicine, is also a weight training and expert in all phases of nutrition, who has prepared many clients for lifetime weight loss as well as bodybuilding competitions. Monica Duncan, an 18-time national figure and fitness competitor, is certified in over 10 group fitness classes, including Zumba, spinning, booty bar, body combat, and personal training. All of these owners will give you personal attention with an expertise in injury prevention, rehab, and sports performance. If you're serious about getting in shape, truly excelling in your sport, check out nyscenter.com or call Fred Duncan at 400-4869.
You're listening to All About Love with Wendy Pegan. Call now, 803-1520. That's 803-1520.
Welcome back to All About Love. This is Wendy Pegan, your host. And audience, call us in today at 803-1520 to tell us about your dating experiences. Or visit us at facebook.com/Creative Relationship Center for more information on successful couples, or if you have a question about today's show. We're talking about online dating versus offline dating and how dating has changed today. Where do you meet people today? Other than if you weren't doing it online is a whole nother subject, but where do people meet each other today? I think, there's several generations here, and I'm going to turn to the younger generation first And then we'll turn to the older generation
Yeah,
here.
me.
But,
Won't remember.
and just in case you guys can't figure out who's who, I'll just point to you. Where do, other than school, because college, of course, is a great place to be able to meet people, but where else do you meet people?
Well, for me, definitely my friends and my mom's friends. They have been dying to hook me up with their sons since I was
Hook up,
13 years old.
Excellent.
There you
That
go.
speaks
And
well
that's
of you.
good.
Yeah. So that's about it. And I guess, other things that you do, other activities.
Church.
Right. I'm sure, have you ever met anybody in a gym?
In the gym? No.
Yeah.
Other
Fitness
places.
centers.
Social centers.
Oh, yeah.
and,
Absolutely.
the occasional.
Yes, I met my personal trainer.
That's right. She met me. But I mean, that's a
That's
way
how we
to
met,
meet
Monica,
somebody
right?
that has similar interests. Maybe it's very visual.
Well, let's talk for a few minutes about. Okay, we have a caller, so we'll get back to this, talking about how dating has changed and what do you do, and sex is a big part of this too. But we have a caller, Tom. Welcome to All About Love.
How are you? Are you there?
I can't hear Tom.
Hello. Test 1, 2.
Tom, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I don't hear Tom either.
We're having technical difficulties here.
Tom, did you chicken out?
No?
That's nice.
Well, while we check into that, and I think I'm all turned up here.
I don't hear this at all.
Yep. Well, while we check into that, let's continue talking about, Tom, we'll get back to you. We'll find a way of getting you on here. How dating has changed, and what are some of the expectations, I think, that might be going on with dating? I think that has changed for both women and men.
What I'd like to say is I think that, and I'm talking, I guess, more about Facebook or online. I think that this makes dating a matter of convenience. And when was convenience ever a good thing in dating? Right? I mean, when we were young, the fact that it wasn't convenient made it even more attractive. But now you can look on Facebook and know everything about everybody. You know who all their friends are. You know where they hang around. Very interestingly, my stepdaughter saw a boy that she liked on Facebook. She thought he was cute. She liked his friends. She liked that he was going to school for engineering. She actually Facebooked him and told him that she met him at a party, and did he remember her? And she's a very beautiful girl, so he went right with it. And he said, "Oh yeah." This was totally fictitious. She had never met him, and he was all in. And they actually ended up dating for over a year.
Wow.
Before she found out that he'd never met her? Or?
No. She told him eventually. We really didn't ever meet at a party, but she knew what party he had been to because it was on Facebook. "Don't you remember me? I was there." And he saw her pictures. Like, how could I?
Yeah.
So this is a good dating
That's
tip, girls.
clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
So she found out everything about him, and then.
And yet
Facebook
what
too.
comes to mind for me is creepy stalker.
I was
So-
just thinking the same thing.
Well, no, I've
Boy
done
isn't
this.
going to be afraid of a
Yeah,
girl.
I've done the same
Was a
thing.
nursing student. Yeah.
Something similar. I know you through a friend of a friend.
Right.
And here
who
saw
I-
Fatal Attraction, I guess. It was, yeah.
Or Basic Instinct.
How do you think dating has changed as far as what some of the expectations are?
I think that earlier, in your generation, that there was perhaps more expectations of being the more wholesome. I think of the movie Cry Baby, where you have where you have the squares and then you have the rebels and yeah.
We're back to Tom. I think we've got you now. Tom, are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. Tom, what's your question?
Well, I just had a question from a previous show. You talked a lot about compatibility and opposites attracting and those types of topics. But then when you go to the eHarmonies and the Match.com, it seems like they're trying to put likes together. I just wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Okay. The question is on the Match.com and eHarmony, they're trying to put likes together. as opposed to something that I have mentioned before regarding that opposites tend to attract. The answer to that question is that opposites do attract, and the reason that opposites attract are because we often find that something is different from ourselves.
Right.
Is cute.
It's making
or
up
funny.
that piece of the puzzle that's missing in ourselves sometimes.
Absolutely.
But Tom, it's not a total opposite. You don't go, somebody who likes to eat a dozen donuts every morning, being the opposite of somebody who takes a run every morning. That's far too opposite. I think it's just in terms of what's missing a little bit from my life or my experience that somebody else might have. That makes two people a whole, as opposed to two separate.
Well, and I think what you also find happening is, unfortunately, I have to say that when I'm mediating a divorce, that I always ask people what brought them together in the first place, and what they tell me are the reasons that they got together in the first place are often the reasons they're divorcing, which is a shame because they haven't necessarily learned how to live within those limits. So one person takes total control of the checkbook, let's say, for instance, and the other person doesn't want to have anything to do with it because the one person is better at it. I think that we're often looking for somebody who's opposite us because we're looking for that opportunity to become more whole. But you're right. It has to be within limits. It can't be extreme opposites. So, for instance, an extreme extrovert. And I have a couple, actually, that I'm working with now. He is 100% extrovert on the scale. She is 100% introvert. 100% is huge. It's a huge difference. And their ability to understand where the other person is coming from is going to be very difficult.
And yet he probably found that very attractive when they were dating because she let him have the whole show. When they went somewhere, he did all the talking. And she was perfectly content to sit by quietly and allow him to do that.
Correct.
Maybe as she matured and she had a little bit more to say about her life, she didn't like that he was, kind of sucking all the air out of the room.
Well, that's true. And I do think it's also necessary when you're dating to understand that if you've got, let's take something very simple like an extrovert and introvert. If you're looking for somebody who's going to carry their weight of the conversation, and you're dating somebody, you're the one asking all the questions, and the other person's answering them, but not giving you more information, then maybe that's a problem into the future. Maybe that's an indication that that person is not going to be able to carry on their end of the conversation, and as time goes by and they get more comfortable, they'll talk to you even less.
But what do you think, Tom? Are you with an opposite?
He's off.
Oh,
He's
gone.
offline.
Well, I think if Tom's question there is a good one because people do need to have, I think, some shared values and interests and so forth to be able to have anything long term. But I remember a Seinfeld episode where Jerry was dating a woman exactly like him, and that lasted about a week. So,
Right. That's overkill.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the values that have changed in the dating scene, because I do think that there's a lot of people out there who have certain ideas of what they would like to have in a date. And oftentimes, and then there's also a lot of people out there, and I always laugh at this one, who have no idea what they want in a partner. They're out there looking to not be single, but they're not specifically looking for a particular partner. And that has an effect on our expectations as well.
I think young women tend to be more aggressive now. And I think that's a part of dating that has changed, and that's not really frowned upon where it was when you and I were younger. Also, the constant communication. To me, that the cell phone is like a ball and chain. But to the younger generation, they want to be in constant contact with each other. And he didn't text me, and I texted him, and it took him 3 hours to text me back. And to me, that's a ball and chain. But I think it's this constant communication can only kill a relationship.
But in terms of what they're looking for, though, do you think that younger women have more of a preset idea or an ideal of what they're looking for in a man?
I mean, not any more than we did. Do you girls?
We have
What
some
do you-
younger women
Yeah.
here.
Well, let's
Younger
ask
women.
them.
Girls.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I have an exact set of
the myth
what
of
I want
Mr.
in a
Right.
guy.
So
I don't think there is a Mr. Right.
There's definitely Mr. Wrongs, though.
There's
There's plenty of
definitely
those.
Mr. Wrong,
Absolutely.
but I don't think there's
And Miss
one
Wrongs, too.
person that's Mr. Right that's perfect. I think you have to find someone that you are compatible with, that you have fun with, and you actually want to spend time with, and then you have to figure out what you can deal with and what you can't deal with, especially with a long-term relationship.
So you don't have a shopping list really. It's got to
No.
be between 5 8.
I feel that a shopping list just takes down all of the people that are out there, you know, and you
Minimizes
just get
your
way
chances.
too picky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have something to say about creating that list. I happen to I help a lot of people in terms of dating, particularly after they've come out of a separation, a divorce, the end of a relationship. And one of the things that I'm often amazed at is that I will ask people what they don't want. And usually they're pretty good at being able to tell me that. But most people are not able to tell me what they do want. That's when they stammer and they hesitate and they're not really sure because they don't want to look as if they're being too picky. But at the same time, we are. There are some things that are just non-negotiable. So what I have people do is I actually have them create a list. And in that, I usually have them start out with a journal or 3x5 cards for those people who are interested in doing this. And on your first 3x5 card, you write, I am in a relationship with either a woman or a man who is. And then after that, I have them make a list on every 3x5 card what it is that they really need and what they're looking for. And oftentimes, when people are reading these back to me, they find out that the person they're in a so-called relationship with now does not fit this category. So why are they still in that relationship? Is it just to be dating somebody, or is it to not be single or have something to do on the weekend? There are other attributes. Maybe they need to be slotted into a friend category, but not into a long-term relationship category. Then I have them go through these lists again. Truth, honesty, what are, wanting to have fun, maybe they need to be a talker. And they have to take a look at some of the values in that, and then they put on the card whether this is absolutely non-negotiable or if this is something that they might be able to negotiate around. So, for instance, if religion is a big value, as it used to be when we were growing up, that was really important to our parents, but that isn't necessarily so much today. So, but if it is, that may be non-negotiable for you. If it isn't, then you can probably let that go and not be so quick to write somebody off because they're a different religion than you.
Do these young women really know what is an absolute don't? It took me years of dating to realize what I could put up with and what I could not put up with, or what I really wanted and what I didn't want.
Well, putting up with something is a whole nother category. We're going to take a break. Callers, call us at 803-1520 with your questions or comments on dating in today's society, or visit us at our Facebook at facebook.com/Creative Relationship Center, and we will be right back.
Do you need help planning your retirement? Is your household budget something you just don't want to look at? Then maybe it's time to make an appointment with the Financial Planning Center to develop a personalized professional financial plan. The Financial Planning Center can help with financial goals and budgets of any size. If you're a middle-class investor, you will be especially happy because there are no account minimums and they take no commissions on investments. And if that's not enough, your first visit to the Financial Planning Center is absolutely free. Call 240-4304 today. That's 240-4304 for the Financial Planning Center. New York Sports and Fitness Center on the corner of Transit Road at Klein and East Amherst is not your average gym. In fact, their trainers have probably trained your trainer. New York Sports Center is operated by and under the direction of Buddy Morris, Fred Duncan, and Monica Duncan. Buddy Morris is a world-renowned former NFL and Division I strength coach who was voted one of the most influential strength coaches of all time. More than 100 of athletes trained by Buddy now compete on the national level, including 5 who've been inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Fred Duncan, a former Division I athlete, educated in both physical therapy and chiropractic medicine, is also a weight training and expert in all phases of nutrition, who has prepared many clients for lifetime weight loss as well as bodybuilding competitions. Monica Duncan, an 18-time national figure and fitness competitor, is certified in over 10 group fitness classes, including Zumba, spinning, booty bar, body combat, and personal training. All of these owners will give you personal attention with an expertise in injury prevention, rehab, and sports performance. If you're serious about getting in shape, truly excelling in your sport, check out nyscenter.com or call Fred Duncan at 400-4869.
Do you fight about the same things over and over? Have you thought about calling it quits? Do you need help handling a new relationship, a marriage, or just need some support getting through the stress of life without losing your marriage or your mind? Hi, it's Wendy Pegan, founder of Creative Relationship Center. Sometimes life gets out of hand, and having some support and guidance makes sense. At Creative Relationship Center, we believe that the couple is the core of every family. When we help you strengthen yourself as a couple, your children naturally make healthier choices. We offer counseling, relationship coaching, couples retreats, even classes at our new couples college. And if we can't help you stay together, we'll mediate your divorce in the privacy of our offices without expensive attorneys or court. For more information on our services, visit us at creativerelationshipcenter.com. That's creativerelationshipcenter.com. We'll keep you strong for generations to come.
You're listening to All About Love with Wendy Pegan. Call now, 803-1520. That's 803-1520.
Okay, welcome back to All About Love. This is Wendy Pegan. Callers, call us with your dating experiences, whether it's online or offline, at 803-1520. We were talking about things to look for on a date, how dating has changed in the virtual world. And I think what hasn't changed, though, is some of the values that are evolved around dating. I do think that we have become a very, very busy society, and particularly with two people, both males and females, who are increasing their careers at a younger age, are putting dating off and long-term relationships for later in life. They're certainly putting off children to later in life. So that certainly moves them out of the usual pool of high school, college. They're dating 20 years after college now, or getting married 20 years after college. So it changes where we're going to be able to meet people. But what I don't think has changed are some of the truly desired values that people want to see in relationships and in dating, that they may not express or expose out loud while they're dating because they're fearful of losing maybe some of the partners that they have met. And Monica, you were talking about learning to put up with some of the things that maybe we were less picky or more picky, or I think you were really talking about maybe being a little less picky.
Well, I think when we were younger, we tended, a lot of girls would marry that first person that we fell in love with without realizing that there were things that, I mean, either we outgrew each other or there were things that were intolerable, but we stuck it out because we thought that was. But young ladies today, they aren't afraid of I don't want to call it serial dating, but they're not afraid of dating several people, and they get to weed out and have a little more introspection on
an
right?
idea of what they want.
Yeah, like Caitlin was saying, she initially dated somebody who was very studious and quiet, and she thought that was great, but after a while maybe it got boring, and she went totally opposite of that, which is human nature, and then that turned out to be crazy. So then she could find someone in the middle, and get satisfy really what she wanted.
I would just remind the women in the audience that Bill Gates was studious and boring.
Well, my daughter is in love with Reed from Criminal Minds.
I love Reed
He's the
so
geeky
much.
psychologist, so she'd take him in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But who do you think is having a harder time dating, men or women? I don't know what the statistics are. Maybe you can look that up. The statistics of
women,
people
definitely.
who go
Women
on.
are
Really? No, I was going to say men.
See, I have no
Do you?
idea.
Yeah.
Why do you think that might be?
Because lots more women are feeling more empowered now, and they have that tendency to just weed people out.
Well, yeah, but I think that there are so many. There's such a pool of people to date, and I think that that's a young man's dream. Like, why settle for just one when there's a whole bevy of young women that are ready, willing?
Why settle for one
just
guy
one,
when there's so many
exactly.
guys?
Now women are just kind of turning the tables
But
on.
my experience still tells me that these young women do want to find the right one, and you don't want to be dating serial dating.
Well, Jimmy, what do you think? You want to find the right one?
I don't know. I just want to hang out, and
He just wants to have fun.
I think it's less common. Do you think it's less common to get married now and more common just to hang out and, hook up and whatever?
Absolutely.
Hook up, man.
But
that
I
has
think that
become
that's
Sorry.
the male perspective, and as much as these young women say they want to date a lot of guys, and they in their heart they are looking for somebody, and it's the way we are genetically wired, looking for somebody to nest with. And
Or maybe that's a generational thing. Maybe
I
that's more
think
of
it's an
an
age
old
thing.
Yeah,
So-
not old.
Well,
excuse me.
Yeah. It's one of the, because, I'm 21 and I want to hang out and have fun and whatever, but I think when I get to 25, I'm going to want to find the one person that I can settle down with and But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Oh, part of that's biology driven, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
said. We are
the
genetically
biological
wired.
clock.
Yeah.
When women want to start having children, do they then go to a sperm bank? Do they just get rid of the male altogether? What do they do?
Right here, you know.
We have a lot more options today than you guys did when you were younger.
Well, this is true. And you start, but like I said, dating seriously a little bit later in life as opposed to just dating for fun. And that brings up another point. When you're dating for fun, how do you date? Who pays?
I think it depends on who asks.
Okay.
I mean, if I ask a guy to go hang out, then I'll probably pay.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
I'd go back and forth.
Okay.
I would. I'd go and maybe on the third I'd double. You'd go Dutch.
Okay.
And how old are you?
24.
Okay, so you see, right when Caitlin's wanting to get serious at 25, you're still wanting to have fun, and that goes back to what I said. There comes a time when I think the young women, as much as they say they want all these experiences, when they meet somebody they really, really care about, they are willing to settle down, and I don't think young men are. Because I think that they have too much to choose from.
There
Right?
is.
Do you
There's
think
too
that's
much.
true?
Yeah, there is. There's so much
I don't
to.
know
There's too
that-
much to choose from.
I don't know that men have any more to choose from than women. I mean, it's a 50-50 population still. pretty
I don't
much,
mean
unless
it
you're-
that way. I mean sexual partners, women. It's a whole different dating scene than when we were younger. So why should they settle down?
Well, neither a man nor a woman would always appreciate a really lengthy dating history on the part of their partner, I think. So I'm not sure that it's any
It's called a
different
roster, Tim.
from- A roster, there you go. Yeah. A
you
hit
go.
list. or
Bucket
whatever it
list?
is.
The bucket list?
The bucket list. I think men care about that more than the young women too. I think it makes a man look experienced. It makes a girl look like.
Caitlin, what was your comment earlier?
Oh,
today?
every guy wants to have sex with a bunch of girls, but they never want to marry the girl that's had a bunch of sex.
Exactly.
Right.
And I do think
Still a
that,
double standard.
that today, yes, there is definitely a double standard across the board for males and females. And I do think that our television programs have changed a lot.
Well, that Sluts in the
there's-
City show, for
Yes,
example.
Sluts in the City.
Wow.
And
Well, they
you know,
were.
I admire them.
okay, let's get it.
But how many of them ended up happy at the end of that series? And wasn't Carrie always looking really for Big
Yeah.
just to marry her? As much as she was writing a column on being a woman of the ages, she really just wanted
She was
this
waiting
man
for
to
him.
to
But
love
then there's
her.
Samantha, who just wanted to have sex with everybody and anybody and had a great time doing it.
Except she also had a recognition in herself that really wasn't, when somebody she finally fell in love with just was using her for that, which she used men for.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say she did it too. So
Right.
I need to go back and watch that show. Is that on Netflix? Oh.
I'm sure that it is. I'm sure that it is. That you can get box sets.
Oh.
It's still on. It's still in syndication. Too.
Oh, now I was more of a Desperate Housewives fan. Same, same,
There's another one.
Yeah.
That's after marriage.
yeah.
And during marriage and all kinds of.
I don't think that changes. I think that our value systems have changed because things are easier. They're easier to get. It's easier. Certainly, anybody can be online. We've talked about that before, where you can get online while your partner is sleeping.
It's made
and
adultery a lot easier.
have
I
an
don't know
affair. It
about
makes
dating.
adultery a lot easier. And I have seen cases. I've seen a number of cases where people have left the marriage that they're in for somebody that they met online, somebody that they really don't know, but seems to they're connecting on a different level. Maybe the art of communication and conversation that they haven't been able to have with their partner. Or
And
let's
then
face
again,
it,
like Tim said, it's fantasy.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
different from
Right.
you
don't have the
washing
day-to-day
somebody's
problems
underwear and the mundane facts that marriage is. But I think personally that especially the social media like Facebook and text, I think it has created a generation of cowards, exhibitionists. People break up with somebody. They'll trash a girlfriend on Facebook that they want to break up with. There's what was that statistic I gave about how many people found out they were broken up
Oh, so
by Facebook?
reading
25%.
25% didn't know they were
Relationships-
broken up until they
looked on Facebook.
saw their
Looked on
boyfriend on
Facebook.
Facebook
Awful.
saying,
Yeah, that's
out, not
pretty
in
awful.
a relationship.
Public.
I'm on the market now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
Kind of points up how trivial these relationships are for them.
Audience, call in with your dating experiences at 803-1520 with your questions, or Facebook us at facebook.com/Creative Relationship Center. We will be right back.
Have you broken up with anybody on Facebook?
New York's Sports and Fitness Center on the corner of Transit Road at Klein and East Amherst is not your average gym. In fact, their trainers have probably trained your trainer. New York Sports Center is operated by and under the direction of Buddy Morris, Fred Duncan, and Monica Duncan. Buddy Morris is a world-renowned former NFL and Division I strength coach who was voted one of the most influential strength coaches of all time. More than 100 of athletes trained by Buddy now compete on the national level, including 5 who've been inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. Fred Duncan, a former Division I athlete, educated in both physical therapy and chiropractic medicine, is also a weight training and expert in all phases of nutrition, who's prepared many clients for lifetime weight loss as well as bodybuilding competitions. Monica Duncan, an 18-time national figure and fitness competitor, is certified in over 10 group fitness classes, including Zumba, spinning, booty bar, body combat, and personal training. All of these owners will give you personal attention with an expertise in injury prevention, rehab, and sports performance. If you're serious about getting in shape, truly excelling in your sport, check out nyscenter.com or call Fred Duncan at 400-4869. Do you need help planning your retirement? Is your household budget something you just don't want to look at? Then maybe it's time to make an appointment with the Financial Planning Center to develop a personalized professional financial plan. The Financial Planning Center can help with financial goals and budgets of any size. If you're a middle-class investor, you will be especially happy because there are no account minimums and they take no commissions on investments. And if that's not enough, your first visit to the Financial Planning Center is absolutely free. Call 240-4304 today. That's 240-4304 for the Financial Planning Center.
You're listening to All About Love with Wendy Pegan. Call now, 803-1520. That's 803-1520.
Hi, this is Wendy. We are back with All About Love, talking about dating experiences online and offline. As we're getting close to the end of our show, we should probably talk about a little bit about what to look for, both in...
Can I ask either of these young ladies? So these are names I found on Facebook that people call themselves. Would you either of you
their
date
usernames?
somebody that calls himself douche nozzle?
Is that my brother? That might be my brother.
Or wait, there was another guy. I hope it was a guy, maybe not a girl, called I Got Crabs Twice.
Oh, my God.
You're
Maybe-
not date this. I mean,
proud
there's a
he
sense
works
of
at
humor
Joe's.
in there.
Meet someone,
My brother's
and that's
is Mike
the
is the
name.
butt sex. Like,
Oh,
What is
God.
he?
Yeah.
Mike is
Maybe-
the butt sex.
What, Jim?
Maybe he works at Joe's.
So
Crab
would
Shack.
you date?
He works at Joe's Crab.
And you know what?
He
Prob-
better
probably-
think about that one,
So
though.
is this guy have a great sense of humor, or is he skanky?
It would depend on how you met them. If you met them and that was the name that you met,
That's
probably
their
wouldn't
name
date them.
on Facebook.
If you met them on if you met them in real life and then found
Yeah,
out
it's
that
kinda-
was their name on Facebook,
Well,
maybe you think it's humor.
doesn't-
A self-selecting approach to
Yeah,
them.
you could think of that as humor, absolutely.
Right.
And you know, you have to be able to take a step back and figure out again what it is you're looking for. If you're not looking for somebody with that kind of sense of humor,
Yeah.
then
They
I
can
would-
laugh at themselves. That's a
or
great
or that hygiene, as it were,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
lack thereof.
hygiene.
I do think that for those people who are online users, you really do need to take a look at certainly when you go in on Facebook or eHarmony or Match.com, you really need to put a photo up there that is a realistic one.
A recent photo.
A
Genuine.
recent photo. You know, your driver's license doesn't count. I think it's 20 years before they ask for a new photo.
Who would use their driver's
so,
license picture?
So the last time I
yeah,
got
those are
stopped by a cop, he kept looking at the photo and looking at me. Wasn't quite sure that was me.
Do you know that the Bar Association now has a workshop called How to Find Evidence on Your Spouse Through Social Media?
Oh, Lord.
I believe it.
I
Oh,
feel like
Lord.
nowadays we're just looking for a
Cheating
reason.
couples.
Yeah.
But it shows how much you can find out
Oh, you
somebody's
can find out
credit
anything.
score.
Well, so since social media give people an easier opportunity to cheat, it also gives their spouses an easier opportunity to track
To
them
find
down.
out.
Well, yeah, and that's
Yep.
gonna That's going to drum up
Or the
business.
cell
Yes, it
phone
will.
tracking.
Oh,
You
yes,
can,
the
you
tracking
can
on the
track
cell phone.
somebody.
For mediation services, call the Creative Relationship Center.
Private
we
eye.
don't want to use, if you're splitting, you're splitting. You don't want to be married to someone who doesn't want to be married to you. But let me just talk a little bit about dating in general. What are some of the things that we can look for? Because there's a number of people out there. And by the way, I just want to make a comment about earlier, you guys were talking about number of women to men, that, men die younger. So the available men over the age of 50 is much smaller. The percentage is much smaller than there is for women. So males do have more of a plethora of women, pool of women to pick from.
I'm actually looking at some interesting statistics right now regarding that, and it says there's some interesting things. It's on staticbrain.com. Statistic Brain, excuse me, and you go for online dating. It says a woman's desirability online peaks at age 21. At 26, women have more online pursuers than men, but by 48, men have twice as many online pursuers as women.
Wow.
There you go.
So that just tells you women, if you do online dating, say you're 47 or younger.
Yes, and that comes back to lying. I'm lying.
This reminds me of one of those "be careful what you wish for" lines, where a man might think to himself, "I want to have my pick of every woman out there," and he doesn't think that they'll all be over 80 when that happens.
Or thinking that they're really going to have something in common, a 50-year-old man with a 25-year-old, because
Right.
Yeah.
that's...
We all heard "Hey 19."
Right, and that has happened. What do you think about conversation starters? What do you think about things that you should never talk about? I know the big, certainly for us, the big thing would don't talk about your ex.
Right, your
Don't talk
ex.
about your ex, and don't talk about your kids either. Because although you may have a pool
Grandkids.
load of kids like I do, other people don't want to hear about your children. They're interested only in their children. So those would be two conversation stoppers, I would think. What do you think would be a conversation starter?
Hobbies. I think what your hobbies are, what you
What's
have
your
in
job?
common.
How much do you make?
What kind of car do you have?
Being real.
You're there with your
End the
clipboard.
conversation.
Being real.
And yet you can see that on Facebook now.
And I can see it right here. Yeah.
Well, what about your interests? I think that's something
Hobbies,
that
interests.
you were asking the question earlier while we were on a break as the person that I'm dating, what's their favorite color? And you asked what
said, why
what,
is that even
Sure, yeah, why is that even
Who cares?
relevant?
Right.
But what I was mentioning that at my son's wedding, they played the slipper game, which I had never seen before, where they sit back to back, and the MC asked them a series of questions, which used to be on the Newlywed Game years ago, and that's dating us. And they each hold up a slipper to answer the questions to see how compatible or how much they know about each other. And I was proud to say that my son and his wife
So what
did
was
a
one question
fabulous
that
job.
you didn't expect them to know about each other?
Who's
going to
handle the checkbook?
Ah.
Who's the safer driver?
Oh.
Who is more likely to say I'm sorry first?
But they did well. They got almost all of them right.
Yeah, they did about 98%. I thought that was great.
Yeah, impressive.
But if you're out there and you're looking for, let's just end the show with, if you're out there and you're looking for somebody to meet, some of the questions that you might want to ask them, you may want to pick up the book Intellectual Foreplay, and we found out it's by Eve and Steve Hager. Hogan, I'm sorry. Eve and Steve. It sounds like one name. Hogan. A list of questions. Have a list of questions ahead of time.
Have you
what
been
are
to
your
prison?
interests? Have you been to prison?
How
Yes.
is it
I mean,
question?
your
If you're an
education.
HR
Are you a felon? Yeah.
Education
Yes.
would be
Are you running from
interesting.
the law?
Are you running from the
Convicted
law?
of a crime other than a misdemeanor or traffic.
It's like
Jim,
a job application.
any question that you would ask?
How much does a polar bear weigh? How much is enough to break the ice? Ah, that's a good one.
Breaking the ice. Got it. Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. Thanks, guys. I think we have certainly a lot of people who are interested in dating. I'm sorry that they didn't call in today, but you can still,
Tom
Tom did.
called in.
Thanks, Tom. You can still log on to facebook.com/Creative Relationship Center and get a chat going about dating today in today's society. This is Wendy Pegan for All About Love. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to All About Love with Wendy Pegan, relationship expert, mediator, and founder of the Creative Relationship Center, and sponsored by Lancaster Medical. Be sure to tune in next Sunday morning at 11 for more of All About Love on KB Radio 1520.